Theodore, the pointy boy with a pointy spear, has been out for a while. Wait, that's not a spear, it's a sword. Theodore, the pointy boy with a pointy sword, has been out for a while, so it's time for us to dive into his guide, where we're gonna be looking at his skills, his pairings, which I forgot to mention about FORONDIL yesterday, so we're gonna be doing those as well, because both of them share pretty much the same pairings, which are just the same old legendaries. But before I talk too much about this introduction, let's get started. What is up, guys? MEOWER here, back with a brand new Call of Dragons video. Before we get started, I did forget to mention FORONDIL's pairings in yesterday's video, so I do apologize for that. I will make sure to mention them in today's video as well, when we're going to be discussing Theodore, the pointy boy with a pointy sword. And of course, we're going to be diving in Theodore's talents, skills, pairings, artifacts, Warpets, and blah 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 blah. You know, the usual. So of course, please don't forget to drop a like, don't forget to subscribe, and let's get started. So Theodore, the Master Strategist, has been released. He is a cavalry garrison commander. I know, it's pretty interesting that the developers are going with a garrison commander type, even though cavalry don't really have that much garrison potential. Maybe, I'm not sure. We're gonna be finding out when we're discussing this pointy boy. And the reason why I call him pointy boy is because of this head. It's completely disproportionate, but it is what it is. We don't judge here on this channel. Anyway, we're gonna be starting off with Theodore's skills. So his first skill, Shadow Spite. He deals damage to an enemy legion and bruises them for 20% HP, which scales up to 10%. This bruise is the same as Nika's bruise in her first skill, so do note that both of them don't stack actually. This debuff does not stack even if you pair them together or both of them hit the same target from multiple marches. This debuff does not stack. Okay, and it has a pretty nice damage factor of 1400. Pretty straightforward here, nothing too wowy. His second skill is that all cavalry gain attribute bonuses. They gain extra up to 30% cavalry defense and 10% march speed. Pretty nice. I'm not sure what we want to do with defense when we're discussing cavalry, because as we know, cavalry is the glass cannon troop of Call of Dragons. So I don't know what the goal is with this skill. His third skill, Royal Writ, maybe the W silent. I don't know. My English is not my first language anyway, so it is what it is. Correct me in the comments below, I guess. When garrisoning a city or a stronghold, and if you don't know what a stronghold is, it means passes or whatever else you can garrison. Just passes in general, nothing else you can garrison except cities and and Road to War as well. Your legion has 20% chance to gain vigor and attack resistance when hit by an attack for 3 seconds, up to 10% HP and 10% attack resistance. So even more defensive stats. So far, nothing that complements what cavalry want to do, which is become just go in, nuke the enemy, get out. And finally, his last skill, Coup de Grace. Each time Theodore inflicts a debuff on an enemy legion by a hero skill, he gains 1 stack of Consul's Mark, maximum stacks of 3. All stacks of Consul's Mark are consumed when Theodore casts a rage skill, increasing the damage dealt by that skill. So there is a bonus of up to 20% per stack. Consul's Marks reset when the battle ends. So let me clear something up about this skill, because I believe based on what I asked and what I was told. Now, I'm not 100% sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this you only gain stacks from Theodore himself applying the debuff, not the Legion in total. Because it mentions here when Theodore, not Theodore's Legion. So every time you hit a bruise, you gain a stack of Consul. Now, whether if you consume all concert stacks 3 at a time, so this skill only works every 3rd skill rotation, or every 4th skill rotation rather, when you hit the maximum 3 cap, you gain an extra 60% skill damage on that 1400. Now, I'm not sure if I like it. I'm not sure if I like his entire kit in general. And let's just finish up his Awaken skill before we give our thoughts on this. So his Awaken skill is that his Legion takes 25% less normal attack damage now. After looking at this skill set and then looking at FORONDIL's skill set from yesterday, I'm not sure what the goal is with this commander. Okay, and here mainly for a few reasons. First of all, cavalry are not meant for long-term defensive slug fights like infantry. None of their skills complement that. While their stats are pretty decent, they don't have that high HP, and they are purely based around attack and hit and run from this skill alone. Like, cavalry in general are an open field menace. Like, nothing about cavalry playstyle with any other commander at all has any synergy with this guy, and has anything to do with garrisoning or being a defensive position. Now, an argument can be made since he's garrisoning, he has access to the garrison tree, and the garrison tree is super OP. However, still, I'm not sure if I like the idea of having a tank cavalry. It goes against the principle of cavalry in general. I mean, would you rather just nuke the enemy, or you want a tank? And if you want a tank, you have better options, i.e. infantry, Madeline Garwood, or just Garwood in general. Like his infantry counterpart, Garwood, which is also a garrison commander, just excels at everything he does but better. Like, what's the point of having a garrison commander that is cavalry, but at the same time he doesn't have that good of a pairing when it comes to defending passes? I mean, Bakshi Emrys is a better garrison duo because they just nuke whatever rally touches them because they are a rage engine and they have access to spring blades. So I'm not sure what direction this guy is meant to have, but I digress. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe someone will figure it out, but as he is right now, I just fail to see a use for this guy. But that is it for his skills, I guess. Now for his artifacts. He doesn't have any synergy with Oath of Stone Peak, so he's just gonna be running the standard. And he also doesn't have any synergy with Spring Blades because he doesn't have the Passion part active. Now you can just reuse it in general because it's an extremely strong artifact with extremely strong active, but you're missing out on a big chunk of extra stats if you're not running it on a Bakshi Emrys March. So we're just going to be giving him the standard Kingslayer and Sorlin's Blade. Maybe we'll get a specific artifact for him later. And of course, there is the Garrison artifact when you are setting him on a Garrison, Breath of the Forest. But again, I'm not sure what a cavalry commander has anything to do with garrisoning in general. So, yeah, it is what it is. If you want to use him, by all means. His Warpet, of course, is going to be the Berserk Drake because he applies debuffs, so he can have some synergy with Arrogance. Of course, if you want to run the Berserk Drake as well, you're going to be using him for FORONDIL. So maybe a Theodore Overview, just because he has access to the skill tree, and well, the skill tree, of course, is one of the best trees in the game, especially for a troop type such as Cavalry. And then now we're just going to be discussing his pairings as well as Forondils. So of course we have the usual Theodore Overview because both of them apply debuffs, which will synergize super well with the Berserk Drake. And of course we have Theodore Emrys, which would be a good pairing considering that Theodore gives the tankiness that Emrys deeply lacks, while Emrys just provides some raw DPS and some raw damage dealt in general. You can also run Theodore Bakshi. Whoever is the lead, it doesn't matter. It will be just a super tanky march that might not do that much damage, but it is super tanky because, well, you're getting a lot of HP from Bakshi, you're getting a lot more HP from his main skill, as well as when he's awakened, you're getting 30% HP, and of course, this guy, Theodore, provides a lot of defenses, so you just got synergy with all three of the legendary commanders. The same pairings go for Forondil as well. I think the best Forondil march would be just a Giga Nuke march, whether if it's a Forondil Emrys or an Emrys Forondil march that just runs around and one-shots any backline, or of course Bakshi Forondil that just one-shots people as well, because Forondil is super OP and he's super strong, and all he needs is just something to enable him further using his third skill. Now that's out of the way, let's discuss his talents. So, we're gonna be having two main talent trees on this guy, mainly one for garrison and one for the open field. So, for the garrison, we're gonna be running the garrison tree, of course, as our primary. Let me just select this one. We're gonna go for attack. We're gonna go for defense. We don't want any more speed when our primary focus is just garrison. We're gonna go for this. We're gonna go for the HP. We're gonna get the attack. We're gonna get the counterattack, because counterattack, especially in garrisoning, is super deadly, much stronger than just garrison onslaught. Of course, we're gonna go for fair defense. Fair defense, of course, is super OP and it's super disgusting. We're gonna go for garrison synergy. We're gonna go for extra rage generation, or we can go for we don't want solitary because it's useless. We can go for tough garrison, or we can go for the rage generation. I'd rather go for arrogance. And then, of course, we can go for either taking 5% less damage or dealing 5% more damage. We're going to go for the more damage since he's a cavalry, he's not an infantry, so you want to deal some damage as well because you're not going to be tanking for super long. And, of course, we're going to go for formidable as our final pick. Just dealing 10%, the enemy just dealing 10% less hero skill damage, especially for rallies and whatnot, is much more strong than a 400 unit healing factor, which doesn't even have a chance to always be active, while formidable is always active at all times with a 5-second downtime. We're gonna go for our second tree, whether if we go for the skill tree or we can just go for an all-in in the garrison tree. That would be up to you. We're just going to show you the options. We're going to go for the head held high, 2 points here, and then 3 points in the counter attack. And finally, we're going to go for boiling blood, because usually if you're going to be running a cavalry commander in general, the secondary cavalry commander is also going to have some insane rage skill damage, so we might as well just go for more skill damage for the deputy, just to make it a little bit stronger. Of course, for his open field, we're going to be going for this, we're going to be going for this, we're going to be going for this, we're going to go for attack, we're going to go for skill damage, we're going to go for head held high, again, same concept with the boiling blood. We're gonna go for the unquenchable will. We're gonna go for the crit. We're gonna go for all in on this one. We can go for this, or we can go for this, but I would rather just go for cage animal just because it just does so well. And cavalry in general tend to rage cycle pretty quickly, so getting that stronger hero skill damage over time will fill up the bar pretty quickly. Now you have two options here. Either go all in on the skill tree, where you pick up steady hands, you pick up encouraging dance, and you pick up what is it called? Which one was it? Concentration, because it has some synergy with Theodore's kit in general. Or you could just split up with the cavalry tree as well. No, I don't recommend you go all in on a tree in general, unless you are a T5 player, mainly because you are already at the cap of the stats, so you just want to maximize your damage in general. Of course, we're going to go for perfect ferocity, and our final point, we're just going to be putting it here, just to have this trigger on our hands whenever possible. These are the two talent trees that are viable with him. This is the garrison tree. You can go all in on the garrison tree, or you can pick up the skill tree here as well. The both is up to you. And then of course you can go for this tree with all in on the skill tree, or split up with the cavalry tree as well. Now, like I said, I'm not really a fan of the idea of having a garrison cavalry commander, though I could be wrong, but that's just my idea in general. I would rather just work on FORONDIL and utilize FORONDIL, Bakshi, Emrys around and just mix and match to find the best option, but having a garrison tank cavalry in the mix just doesn't sit well with me. I could be wrong, of course, but Again, it's just my opinion on the matter. I would love to debate you on it if you have a different opinion than me in the comments below, or join the Discord. The link is in the description. But on that note, thank you so much for watching. I will be sure to release more Season 2 guides for the commanders because some talent trees have definitely changed for many of the commanders, such as Syndrome's talent tree has changed, Hosk's talent tree has changed, and its playstyle has changed in general. Madeline's open field tree has changed for sure, and so has her garrison tree. Garwood is back in the meta and is pretty strong now, and so much more has changed in the meta of Call of Dragons, which makes the game so much more fun because a lot of these changes are not from developer interference, rather players just discovering more optimal ways to play the game. But yes, on that note, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please be sure to drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Meow.